If your wife is in love with someone else, what you're doing right now is actually pushing her closer to him. You think you're competing with another man, but you're not. You're competing with how she feels when she's not with you. And right now, you're losing that competition. You're trying to fix it, show her how much you care, and hold everything together. But that is exactly what's making this worse. So in this video, I'm going to show you what's actually happening here because it's not what you think, and give you the 5 shifts you need to make right now to give yourself a real chance to turn this around. And stay with me to the very end because I know exactly the resistance you're going to be thinking as you hear this, and I'm going to address that too. Right now, your brain is trying to make sense of this. So you're landing on things like concluding that she's confused, maybe he's manipulating her, and that she isn't thinking straight. Basically, she doesn't realize what she's throwing away with you. And that very well may be true. And you think if I can just show her how much I care, she's going to snap out of it. And listen, I'm not even saying those thoughts are completely wrong, but they're incomplete because they keep your focus on him and they keep your strategy rooted in convincing her and essentially making it a competition with him. And neither of those actually solve the real problem. This has nothing to do with the other guy appearing because that wasn't the point where this all started. That's just when you noticed. This all started way earlier when something inside your relationship stopped working emotionally for her. And that's the part most men miss because you were still showing up in all the ways that made sense to you. You were providing, being loyal, holding things together. But emotionally, something started to disconnect slowly and she started to experience everything differently. So what you're seeing right now with this other guy isn't necessarily her falling in love. It's something a lot of people don't really fully understand. It's emotional intensity, it's fantasy, it's escape. There's actually a term for it called limerence, and quite frankly, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it limerence, you can call it infatuation, but forget the label for a second because it does not matter. If you're gonna spend time worrying like, is she in love with him? Is this just a phase? Like, what does this all mean? You're wasting your time focusing on the wrong things. What matters is this. She's not just drawn to him, she's drawn to how she feels when she's around him. That's the real pull, because right now he represents something new and emotionally engaging. And when she compares that feeling to how she's been feeling in your relationship, again, I'm not advocating that it is good character or her right to monkey branch to somebody new, but the point of this video is to turn your focus on what matters. The gap between how she feels around this new guy and how she's been feeling in your relationship for a while becomes everything. And this is where most men completely misread the situation because of the way you react. And you have every right to react this way. But most men in this situation think like, I need to beat him. I need to prove I'm better. I have to win her back. So the focus becomes competing with this guy and obsessing over it. I have seen it with friends in my own life. One of my best friends went through this a long time ago with his wife. And objectively, my friend is more successful, better looking, better personality than the guy his wife was starting to fall for outside of their marriage. So the thought process was focused on all of those things and how my friend was a better man. So how could she do this to him? What you have to realize is you're not competing against the man your wife is in limerence with or infatuated with or even falling in love with. You're competing against a consistent feeling. And right now you're losing that comparison. Not because you're less of a man, that has nothing to do with it, but because you're showing up in a way that doesn't create the emotional experience for her anymore. So because you find yourself feeling like you're in direct competition with this other guy, you start taking actions that think you will get her attention back and sway the pendulum back in your favor. If you try to pour your effort and emotion into her for one last gasp by like over-explaining things or trying to get her to talk about things over and over or trying to remind her of your history and everything you built together, you're not changing her experience with you. She just experiences this last-ditch effort as panic from you, and what you actually end up doing is strengthening her pull toward him. So let's flip this. Right now, your focus is, how do I get her back? How do I beat this other guy so she sees that I'm actually the right man for her still? Well, you have to stop framing it like that because that makes everything you do come from a place of chasing, proving, and needing a result. So instead, I'm going to run you through 5 areas that you have to change, and that's going to give you the best chance to change your wife's mind and start swinging that attraction pendulum back towards you. First, you stop chasing, but not as a tactic. And I know this may sound like generic advice that you've heard, like don't chase, but it's incredibly important that you don't do this. You don't pull back to manipulate her. You are pulling back and not chasing because you're no longer operating from that panic I just mentioned. You stop trying to constantly close that gap and force the connection with her because you think it's going to disappear for good very soon. Basically, you stop making her feel like you're trying to fix everything right now. And that alone changes the emotional pressure she feels around you. Second, you become emotionally consistent. Right now, you're probably up and down. One day you're strong, the next day you're anxious, then you're distant, then you're reaching again. Like you're all over the map and you can't get it together. That instability kills attraction. What she needs to feel from you isn't intensity. It's consistent ability to be calm and grounded. That is what makes her feel like safety can be created by you again. Third, you change the experience of being around you. Most guys try to fix the relationship by talking about it. That's the mistake. You don't rebuild attraction through conversations about problems. You rebuild it through how she feels in your presence. Less pressure, less we need to fix this energy, and more grounded interactions and creating of emotional safety. She should start to feel relief around you, not obligation. Fourth, you stop competing with him. This has been mentioned over and over again, but it's very important. He really has absolutely nothing to do with anything. So you don't try to outdo him. You don't try to figure him out because again, it's not about him. It's about what you stopped creating. So your focus has to go inward. Where did you become passive? Where did you stop leading? Where did you stop growing? And more importantly, who do you need to become now? That should remove all the competition with him. And quite frankly, if you focus on those things, that will actually crush any competition there would be with the other guy. Fifth, you expand your life again. This is huge because a lot of men collapse their entire world around the relationship when this happens. A lot of that is because they become very complacent over the years in their relationship and their identity just kind of becomes tangled up with that of the relationship. So losing that sense of purpose and growth and really just direction happens when the relationship goes downhill. Maybe there were things that you used to do with friends and family, but you keep putting them off or you just kind of stop showing up to a lot of those things because of your relationship. Whatever the case, if you lost your direction, she's going to feel all of that. And where it's felt the most is in moments like this where the relationship is on the brink and your energy becomes very heavy, focused on her and waiting on her. That kills any sense of polarity. So you have to expand your life into all those things that you are missing. Even if you think it's hard right now, it is an absolute requirement because for you have to do that for you. How can she expect to feel different around you if you don't change all the things for you first? Now let's deal with the resistance because like I said at the top of this video, I've heard tons of resistance regarding this topic. So I know some of the questions are coming up in your head right now. Let's address those head on. The first one is, why is this all on me? Why do I have to focus on all these things if she's the one who's cheating or falling for another man or doing whatever she is doing? Well, it's not. It's not all on you. I'm not exonerating her part in all of this. She has her side in this as well. But right now, you're the one here trying to fix it. And the only variable you can control is you. So the question isn't whose fault is it? The question is what actually works. And the 5 things I mentioned above that you have to start changing today are what actually start to work. Another common question or fear, what if she never comes back? This is probably the most common question I get on my application calls with men for my coaching program. And the only answer to that question is the absolute truth. Then you still win because you become a man who's more self-grounded, self-respecting, and emotionally solid instead of someone who's always staying stuck, waiting, hoping, reacting, and basically marinating in their own fears and regrets. That new version of you, if you commit to making those changes and becoming self-reliant, doesn't lose anything in the long term. Another question is, why would I even take her back after all this? And to be honest, that's not even a real question yet. That's your pain talking. Right now, you're operating from a place where you're still trying to avoid losing her. You're not operating from a place of choice. And until you get back to a place of strength, that question doesn't even matter. It's a fair question and one that if you become the man you can be, if you really want to, that question becomes much more probable in needing to be answered. But it doesn't matter right now, and it is a question that you fully have control over and everybody has their own choice. Interestingly enough though, that question of why would I ever take her back after this, there's been studies done, and I think it's somewhere like 65 or 75% of marriages stay together after some version of infidelity. The point is, a lot of marriages do stay together. That question has no meaning until you have that ability to have choice. And you start to have that choice by doing the things I mentioned, and that's going to allow that question to even come into play. So if you're in this situation right now where your wife is either in love with someone else, in limerence, whatever the label you want to use is, but she's feeling somebody else and basically not you, hopefully this video helped you realize that things you're doing are not helping you save anything and they're actually making things a lot worse. So if your wife is pulling away and if you feel like you're losing her to someone else, I break down exactly how to turn this around in my step-by-step free training. The link for that Relationship Rebuild Masterclass is in the pinned comment and description below. That is the next step you have to take. And if you want to turn things around as fast as possible, I suggest you go watch that today. If this video helped you out, give that like button a tap and subscribe to the channel as well. I'll catch you in the next video.